The goal this year is to cut $30,000 worth of wood, and we're way behind. I've cut $2,000 worth in 2 months. If you do the math, that's about $1,000 a month, which at the end of the year, we'd be only a third of our goal. But don't worry, it's been muddy, it's been cold, and we just welcomed a new addition to the family. So all is great, and we're gonna get caught up real fast because I got a big job to do, a big project I'm working with a friend, and it involves this huge cedar pile. To complete this project, we're gonna need about 1,300 board feet of this cedar to do the job, which means 25 to 30 logs. As you can see, these logs are all different sizes. We got really small ones that won't work for much, and we got big ones that I kind of want to save for other jobs. What we're cutting is board and batten siding. I'm gonna make 7-inch wide boards and 2-inch bats. As you can see, I've already prepped about 6 logs here. I've got them here, cut them down to 8.5 feet long, and I want to get all the logs prepped before I put them on the mill. That way we can just go to town. The other thing I want to do is I want to have the stacking and stickering station all set up. So I pick up a log, put it on the mill it, put the boards on here, and then I take them right over to this area and stack and sticker them. The work's not going to do itself. I'm going to get the tractor fired up and get busy collecting logs. That worked really well. We got some more logs here. I'm gonna cut them down to 8.5 feet before I put more on top of them. But man, I'm getting better at running this little tractor and doing stuff like that. One cool thing about doing bigger jobs like this is you get better at simple skills through repetition. This is the first time I've put the tongs on the front of the bucket here. Usually they're on the back because this tractor just can't pick up very much weight and it gets really light. But cedar's so lightweight, I'm able to do that. That one big log got the rear end real light, it lifted it up off the ground a little bit. So I've just been trying to be really careful and learn where that edge is. What's really cool is I've kind of started to figure out how to unhook the log without getting off the tractor just by moving things around and also hooking the log with the tongs. So my tong using skills are improving. All right, let's cut these to 8.5 foot and then get some more. We got 17 of these ready to go. I'm gonna grab 8 more so we can just have 25, and then I think we'll be good to go. If not, we can get more at the end. Also, because these are all random lengths, I've got all these extra pieces I'm cutting off. These long ones I'll cut up and do something with. But I've also got the shorter ones, I'm keeping those too, and I'm just like, what could I do with that? I mean, I could cut some into cookies maybe. I've also got a wood lathe that I've never used. Maybe if I learned how to use that, I could make some vases or bowls or something. I know nothing about wood turning, so I don't even know if Eastern Red Cedar is a good wood to turn. No idea, but regardless, we're getting there. Of course, we're dealing with all these small logs here now. I'm just trying to get them out of the way for now. Yesterday we finished prepping all these logs, a lot of work, and we're not done yet, but I will say if I just got some pallet forks for this tractor, that would have been way faster and easier. I could have scooped them up, set them off. I could have organized better, just dropped them in, but this works for now. I think my next purchase is going to be pallet forks. They're only $600 or $700. That'll be nice. But before we start running the sawmill, which I'm getting eager to get to, we've got to do something first. We've got to actually set up our stacking station, and I'm going to show you how I do that and what I think about. As you can see, the sawmill's right here. What I want to do is mill, take the boards, set them on the top of the bucket of the tractor, and then when that's full, just bring them right over here and have my stacking set up here so I can stack and sticker everything, because when my buddy comes to pick them up, whenever that is, he'll be able to bring his uniloader straight in here, grab them, and put them on his trailer. But that means first I got to clean this mess up because I got some cherry logs, basically firewood, get those cut up, get out of the way, and then set everything up here. And I want to have a nice workflow where I grab a log, mill, stack, log, mill, stack. So first let's clean this and this up. This is a rotten piece of ash. Rotten. We're gonna stack and sticker and dry our wood right here. This is where it's gonna sit. First of all, of course, you want a very flat base because the wood is gonna sit on there, and if it's not flat, the wood won't be flat when it dries. And beyond that, there's a few things that will ruin wood as it dries. First of all, the sun. We'll get to that in a second. But also we want a lot of airflow because we're trying to dry the wood slowly. But we also don't want moisture or dirt getting on the wood. Since I'm drying wood flat on the ground here, what I do is I actually take metal and I lay it down. and I'm gonna stack on top of this. And the reason is, I don't want any moisture coming up through the ground into the bottom of the wood because it'll be wet. But another thing is, when it rains, it splashes the mud and things like that. So this just helps give a little bit of barrier so the mud doesn't go onto the wood. Because the thing about topsoil is, and I don't know any of the scientific mumbo jumbo, but basically there's a bunch of living organisms in there. And when this dirt gets onto the wood, it'll start to decay and rot it. That's why when you put a fence post in the ground, if you dig it up, it'll rot kind of in that top layer. And then if you get to the bottom, usually it's still okay. Because all that diversity of microbiome, whatever they are, mycelium, they all live right in that first foot of dirt, I think. So basically, I just want to keep the dirt off the wood. I want to keep the moisture off the wood. So we're going to cover it below and above. Another thing that I think some people who are milling and air drying wood miss is the sun. If I were to sit this out here and just let the sun beat down on it, it's going to do a couple things. First of all, the UV rays can actually break down the fibers of the wood and somehow make it weaker or deteriorate. That part's more scientific. I don't know everything about that. But what I do know is that if you let that sun bake the wood, it'll dry it really fast where it's touching. And the parts that's not touching the sun, the inside of the wood or the other side, will dry much slower. And what can actually happen is you end up with work-hardened wood, which is really dangerous for the end user. Because imagine the part that the sun's hitting is drying and shrinking, and the rest of it's still expanded, so you're creating tension in that wood. So then someone takes it, puts it in the table saw, and the tension in the wood will actually grab the saw blade and kick back at the person. Really dangerous. So we don't want sun on the wood either, so we're also going to use metal to cover it from the sun. We're not just trying to keep the rain off this stuff, we're trying to keep the sun off of it too. I'm probably going to end up with 3 stacks here, 1 for just the battens and then 2 for the boards. All right. So now I'm just going to come in with a level and I'll shim this up so everything's perfectly flat and level. And then when it's time for my buddy to pick them up, he can just bring the uniloader right in here, grab stacks, load on the trailer that pulls right in there. It's going to be beautiful. The only problem now is we don't have enough stickers. I think we're going to need probably over 300 of them. And I've probably got 150 of them. So we'll make them as we're milling. We'll take some scraps and make them into stickers. So that ought to work. Let me show you how I stack wood to explain what I'm talking about with the sun. So here's what I mean. I've got everything covered up. It can't rain on this, but also the sun isn't getting on this wood. This is one of the white oak jobs that I've cut on this channel. And here in the winter, the sun's really low on the horizon so it can get to the wood. In the summer, it'll be over top and this won't really matter. But you can see if I drop that down, the sun's gonna bake these things. So I like to keep them covered up. And then the stack behind it is covered by this stack. I also need to clean up this mud hole. Tomorrow it's supposed to be 60 degrees, so I think it's gonna dry out enough to make it really pliable. Because right now it's still spongy, but once it's pliable, then I can flatten it out just by running over it and get this all squared back up. That way we don't have ruts when I'm trying to mow this summer. We got our logs prepped, we got a log on the mill ready to go, we got our stacking station. All that's left to do is make a ton of pink sawdust. And we're gonna do that in the next video. I'll see you then. I wish you guys could smell what it smells like out here. It's like pencil shavings back in the day when they were made out of Eastern Red Cedar. It smells really nice, kind of like Christmas or a cedar chest without the mustiness.